So from my perspective, there's lots of people running around talking about Prime Minister, this, that and the other. I think anyone who wants a job probably doesn't understand the difficulties of that job, both personally and professionally, and the complexities of doing it. The only thing I have ever said is, if someone fires a starting gun, I'm not scared of gunfire.
It's amazing sometimes looking at the state of UK politics, because it seems that every single day there is some mishap that continues to show the public the extent to which our institution of government has and continues to show its utter lack of function and inadequateness to the task of managing the lives of citizens. But you know what they say, the fish rots from the head. And right now, the utterly poor leadership from Westminster is smelling like an open sewer in the blistering heat. We've had riots and racist pogroms in Northern Ireland, fueled by anger and mostly intolerance to mass migration. We have a pressure cooker economy where the poor and vulnerable are paying the most in taxes in proportion to their income. And if the rumors are to be believed, we will have more of these wonderful tax increases yet. And trust me that no amount of welfare and universal credit will ever make the heat go down for the most vulnerable in our society. We have a treasury held hostage by the bond markets and a chancellor that insists that easing any budgetary restrictions will be the equivalent of releasing the bubonic plague on our wealthy financial markets. And finally, we have a power vacuum in the heart of government, with a certain dark Prime Minister who refuses to resign even if number 10 collapses on his head.
Look, I'm not going to walk away. I don't think we should plunge the country into the chaos of a leadership election.
But if that happens and you stand, wouldn't you be a contributor to that chaos?
I don't think it should happen.
But if it does
happen,
likely.
I will fight.
Stay classic here. Stay fucking classy. I know most people get the impression that I am a permanent hater of all the people in the Labour Party. But frankly, it's the current regime that I utterly despise. There are still some individuals that I will always hold in high regard, because unlike most of you, I don't view reality through rose-tinted glasses nor think that morality is black and white. Because life is best lived in the shades of grey when every object casts a shadow. Now on the 11th of June, Keir Starmer managed to lose his last loyal Praetorian guard in John Healey, the former Defence Secretary who resigned purely on principle for the lack of funding for our hollowed-out military. I will admit that Mr. Healey is one of the people that I respect in modern-day Westminster, because he is a man that has stayed loyal to his principles in a town where most people think that's an option. What this means for Starmer is that he should have announced his resignation on that same day too. But of course that's not what happened, as Dan Jarvis was appointed the same day as his replacement. But a wise man knows when it's time to go. Yet unfortunately, that's not our lovable automaton Keir. I will say that no matter how much he clings on, the hourglass will eventually run out, but the leadership contest will very soon be upon him, whether he likes it or yes.
That is the sound of inevitability.
And while we are on the topic of leadership, I think that the most ideal candidate to be the next leader of the Labour Party is Carns. So I guess consider this video as an argument for why he is the golden ticket that the Labour Party has been looking for. Yet, I am under no illusion that he might very well not be chosen, since we live in a cult of personality and not reason. And with all that said, let's begin.
Here we go again.
I consider Carns to be the wisest decision that Keir Starmer has ever made in his entire political career. He has only been in government since 2024 as a Member of Parliament for Birmingham Selly Oak. Yes, this means that he has only been in the world of politics for less than 2 years. But he has served his nation for all his life as an active member of the Royal Marines since 1999. And after attaining the rank of Colonel, it's fair to say that true leadership is something that he has in spades. And his commitment to the safety and well-being of this nation is also a point that nobody would dare question in their right mind.
I mean, I wasn't in the Defence Investment Plan. I saw it 2 weeks ago, and when I saw it, I wasn't happy with the level of transformation within it, particularly the lessons from Ukraine, uncrewed systems, automation, and pulling those lessons into every section of our armed forces. So I think there's much more work to be done in that space. But then when you match that with the funding settlement as we move to 2030, it isn't enough. And that's quite dangerous at a critical moment in sort of the geopolitical situation that we live.
For a person willing to stake his life has more than enough soul in the game in comparison to any career politician. In my Burnham video, I mentioned that killer instincts are required to survive as Prime Minister in modern-day Westminster. And it's fair to say that a person who has done 5 operational tours in Afghanistan while also guiding and protecting the lives of people under him has the right kind of killer instincts. The type with a moral compass owing to duty and service. Not the type from years of backstabbing and lining your own pockets with riches. But I digress. Now, due to his short time in politics, most people would say, oh, he lacks experience or some generic nonsense like that. Well, I would say this is an actual plus in my book because he isn't tainted by the Westminster muck. And he also represents a clear reset for the Labour Party after years and years of petty infighting and disgusting affairs, all in the name of the greater good.
Mass slaughter for the greater good.
We can also all agree that the best trait of a leader should be his ability to reason and think clearly. And Carns also has this in spades. For it's no use being a leader to anyone who doesn't see the bigger picture when it comes to geopolitics, as well as the wider threats that a nation faces in our ever-shifting and dangerous world. On that point, his actions speak louder than words, and his reasoning leaves very little to be misunderstood.
And how are the recent crises affecting the operations here?
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about. I mean, the fact that the Straits of Hormuz have been blocked, we've seen the impact here in Gibraltar of a reduction in ships going through, a reduction in ship maintenance, and indeed some ships sat here waiting for those passages to open. So the quicker we can open those Straits of Hormuz, the better we'll get economic traffic flowing again, and it's better for here in Gibraltar.
For you see, we now live in a globalized world which is falling apart at the seam, mostly due to the USA stepping back in the role of world police in favor of conquest in the name of submission and resources. But such actions has a knock-on effect on the global economy, as well as allies who rely on that very resources to keep a functioning economy. If you currently think that the war in Iran has made life difficult, then wait till the actual effects begins to get felt. And on that basis alone, Carns' resignation after Haley's is definitely the right call, because the UK does need a functioning military to safeguard our interests and economic well-being. Now, due to years of mismanagement, UK military infrastructure is not even worth speaking of.
3, 2, 1, 0, missile away.
But I want you to understand that a nation that cannot defend itself militarily is only a sitting duck in the world of bad actors. And NATO is not something that can be absolutely relied on when push comes to shove.
He says without the USA, NATO is a paper tiger. They didn't want to join the fight to stop a nuclear-powered Iran. Now that fight is militarily won, he says, with very little danger for them. They complain about the high oil prices they're forced to pay, but don't want to help open the Strait of Hormuz. A simple military maneuver, he thinks, that is the single reason for the high oil price. So easy for them to do with so little risk. Cowards, and we will remember, he finishes, signing it, President Donald J. Trump.
So yes, I am of the opinion that even at the cost of $61.7 billion in 2025, we do need to increase our defense spending. And I want you to understand that while I do like Corbyn, his stance on Kumbaya World Peace has always been a point of contention in my book, for I am more in line with the Greeks on this very subject.
See this packet. Parabellum.
And while some of you believe in the eternal inherent goodness of humans, I am also more of the trust but verify type. After all, we do live in a world motivated by self-interest. But magnificent, where will the money come from? Well, with a welfare budget of over 300 billion and rich assets left untaxed, I am sure we can take an objective look at it. And other than the very vulnerable and the disabled, all welfare should be put under strict scrutiny. And I hate to tell you this, but the peace dividend that allowed for unlimited welfare post-World War II is entirely spent. Just take a look around you and verify the truth of this for yourself in modern-day Europe and in Britain. I may be a leftist, but I don't read Marx nor believe in the stupid arguments of new monetary policy that all the kids are crazy about. For the Weimar Republic, Argentina, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela already tried that shit. And guess what? It didn't work then and it won't work now. But I will have to delve deeper on this when I make my video about money soon. And finally, a leader is someone that everyone should respect. On that front as well, Carns have it in spades. I know most people place greater emphasis on likability and sweet talks when it comes to choosing our leaders, but I tend to think that ability and competence matters more. And on the issue of experience, understand that nobody ever rules alone. All human organizations that thrive is from group effort. So it's more important for a leader to be able to keep a wise counsel. And for a colonel who has had over 20 years of military experience and survived, it's not in doubt that he has this crucial ability. But the truth is that Carns has a very short history in politics, so I, in good faith, cannot make any proclamations on this. But I will mention that he is not entirely new to government, as he has served as a military advisor to past Secretaries of Defense before. And since he has been an MP, no missteps on his record can be found. I will take that as a good sign. So as the final words on Carns, I will say again that he is the most ideal candidate to be the next Labour Party leader. But I know all too well where the winds are blowing on the upcoming leadership competition, and I'm not naive enough to hope. Yet I will mention that he is a person I can see myself voting for if he ever became the leader, regardless of my support for the Green Party. For he strikes me as a person that can inherit the ideas of Tony Benn. And Benn is always the benchmark I will always hold any Labour Party leader to. But we also live in a world where it's not always the best man that wins in the end. For life is not a Willy Wonka factory where Charlie gets to inherit for having a golden ticket. But as a watcher, I will keep my eyes peeled on how events play out. Thank you for your time, and as always, till next time, friends.